can follow along. Like, you don't make the mistake where you look at the lower time frames and you're looking at the 1 minute and you treat it as as if you're looking at the 4 hour, or as if you're looking at the 1 hour. You know, like if you find zones, like say these zones, for example, that we find on the lower time frames, it's not to say that they don't matter as much, but we know those are not the key areas. But it's still important to look at that because that's what price action is telling you right now. You get me? If we look at this zone here, like let's take a look at what that looks like on the 4 hour. Like imagine you're just trading. Everybody has their own trading systems, right? Their own ways of looking. But if you're just looking at those higher time frames, this is good in my opinion for the overview, right? When you have like that bird's eye view, right? You're kind of just like scoping the market out. It's good to understand how the 4 hour candle looks, right? But as you're trading, why are you going to cut yourself short and you're only going to look at the 4 hour? In my opinion, you don't have too much information here in terms of like timing when you're looking for entries, right? At this point, you would have to wait for maybe 4 hour candles to close, and then it's just, you're taking too long. Unless you're like a swing trader and you're trading throughout the day and you strictly look at the 4 hour, that's different. But if you're scalping, you're day trading, you're looking at price action during session, why not look at those lower time frames, right? Like align that 4 hour with the one. As you analyze the one, keep on moving lower, right? During session, right? So for example, here, like that previous 1 hour candle, how did it close? Below the area of interest, right? But still, all you see right here is a wick rejection. All you know is that that's lows at that area. But if you look at that same area on the one, you can see all of the reactions that price had there. You can see price action getting there multiple times and multiple times failing to break that area. So it's an area of support that got created on the lower time frames. So you know that that's an area that you want to be on the lookout for you to have further continuations, right? It gets translated to a 1 hour low. That's really all of those lower time frames. So don't get crazy staying stuck on these lower time frames, because a lot of times, if you're not too experienced or if you're not too used to really looking at these lower time frames, you might start to behave differently because you think the moves are happening right now, and then you become impatient. You get me? But like, for example, again, still like look at the clues that you get off at this on those lower time frames. You don't really see that on the 1 hour. On the 1 hour, all you see is one candle. That's all you see. You don't get to see, for example, how at this area we have now basically a double top that got created. So again, at that time, you can prepare yourself. Doesn't mean that you're gonna melt. Doesn't mean that price action is going to automatically move lower, but at least you can look at that as a clue to understand that, well, price action has rejected those lows, slightly recovered, and we're now basically, we have created a double top right here, meaning we have rejections at this area. Well, you still know, okay, I have my rejections. Price action has made that double top. Let's go ahead and start breaking those lows if we're going to get even any sort of moves back lower, right? Take it level by level as you see price action forming. So for example, we saw price action again recovering off those lows, creating this new lower high point. We know now, okay, we got double top rejections at the 46.90s right here. Let's, in terms of like optimal price action for the seller side, we would want to see price action staying below that area. Why? Because you already have 1, 2 rejections. So if we have rejections at that zone, we wouldn't want to get above the rejection zone, because that means that price action could do deeper pullbacks, right? So we want to stay below those 2 rejection points, but then also we want to get below, for example, these lows, right? Where price action got to the zone, rejected, created this new low point right here, where once again kind of rejected, back to this zone, which is where we created that double top. We got to break below that area if we're going to get any sort of stronger moves lower, right? That's what we want to see. So that way you can analyze this both ways, and you know the areas that you're looking out for right there, right? Like look at, for example, right now we're getting some momentum picking up on the buyer side off of these same exact lows. Again, on the 1 hour, you don't see all of that. On the 1 hour, you just see one candle, whereas on the lower time frames, we understand what zones we're looking at. We understand what areas we want to get below, so that way we have stronger clues, so you can manage your risk better, right? Rather than you maybe just holding and praying. So at this point, again, we know, well, right now, we couldn't get back below this area right here, these low points. And now we're starting to get, if anything, pushback against those sellers that were trying to push price lower. So again, as we're maybe on the 1 hour, you don't see that. Here you get to understand and you get to be maybe more patient, maybe manage your risk, all depending on what it is that you're doing. You get me? That's why it's good to look at those lower time frames. Just don't get too crazy with the lower time frames. But following through on what we're seeing right now, we are getting a little bit of pushback. We're getting those pushes back above those 46.90s. We're breaking above those rejection points that we have. We had failures to get back below our zone of interest for us to have a possible move down. So that's the price action that we're seeing right now. The next area that we're looking at is the structure point right here that was created for us, which is where we got this from. This is structure point here, structure. If we look at where's that last high that got created before we made a new low, which is this low right here, it would be this one. The push came from this low right here, not this one. We would have had to see a push lower for us to mark this as that previous structure point, right? So we know that's the area that we want to make sure we stay below if this momentum is going to continue. We can still easily come to that zone, have exhaustion, reject, and then that lower time frame structure still being respected to the point that we can still see a move back to those lows at that. We have, again, we'll point it out, structure point right here, still being respected, but here's the difference. You have, we'll follow through here. That's bearish. We have our recovery point off of these lows. Price action starting to look like buyers are stepping in, right? Recovering. So this is what we would want to see to go back into this stronger structure. We'd want to see price action for one, reject, which is what we're seeing right now. But then two, we want to get that follow through below this, for example. So that way we can basically eliminate this sort of bullish market structure that's being created against this right here. Does that make sense? Because then at that point, again, we get the rejections, we get price action fading out these buyers because we're breaking below those structure points. We're breaking below areas where we have price telling us that buyer stepped in. You know what I mean? We have that visual reference for us, obviously based off the technicals, because we bounced off that zone and we started to climb into this area. So we want to make sure, again, to repeat myself, the rejections for one, which is what we're getting right now, some exhaustion, but the follow through comes once we really get below those lows right there. So that way we can easily say, okay, we've rejected, we're now trading against this right here. Whoa, such a crooked line. This little trend that's being created right here. You get me? And we're getting back below our areas of interest where we saw in the past a move lower. Make sense? Because if not, what could we be seeing? I'm going to do it one more time. Just to really understand this. This is what we don't want to see. This is why I mean that we want to get below this area right here, because we have price action rejecting the lows and recovering off of the lows, starting to create bullish structure on the 1 minute here based off of this right here, a high, low, a high. We want to make sure that we don't get here to this higher low point here on the 1 minute, reject, and then we stay above, and then we continue to push back higher and maybe possibly do an even deeper pullback. That's why we want to get below this zone right here. You hear me? So we can just erase that possibility right there. We want to erase the possibility that price action is going to retest these lows and bounce and continue higher. So we want to clear those lows, make it more simple in terms of price action, and then we have the proof right here that price has made a move lower. Starting, if we can stay below here, I think we could see a push lower. Because I mean, at this point, think about it. At this point, if we analyze price and we look and we go based off of just what we were just talking about, right? We were saying how we wanted to get below this area because this is that area where we had buyers push price higher. So we wanted to make sure that we got the rejection here, which is what we got. But then more importantly, after the rejection came, we wanted to get below the area where the buyers push price higher. And I mean, look at that right there. That's clean. That's a perfect example right there of why you use the lower time frames. All of that information that we've been talking about during the session has been from those lower time frames. And I mean, look at that volume right there, right? This is, again, I don't want to boast about the technicals that we're seeing here, but again, the importance of those lower time frames is that we were following structure points off from literally right here. I mean, look at that push. Shit, look at that. That's nice. Look at that. So for example, this is what we were following. Just to repeat myself, and of course, if you guys decided to take trades, make sure you manage your risk. Don't get greedy. We're reaching that area right here where we've seen in the past strong reactions off of. We're getting right now reactions off that area. So whether that means take profits, whether that means to manage your risk, all dependent on your plan, of course. Make sure you follow that. Don't get greedy. Just follow your plan, whether it is that you look for buys at those highs, whether you're looking for continuations back below the area. Again, just make sure you pay attention to your trades and to the areas that you know you should be on the lookout for, which is, again, these lows right here. But what we're following was this. I see that some people joined right now. Just to kind of explain myself once more, we had price action, lower time frame structure being created more on the bearish side. We had our rejections and our recovery off of that zone. We started to create a little bit of a reversal pattern against the sellers here. We understood the area that we had to look out for, which was these highs right here. We understood that if we could reject those highs, we want to make sure we get above this, because that was the point where we were doing, we were starting to go against this right here, which was this. Started to get a new high, a low, failure to get below this area, and we ended up creating a high. So at that point, we wanted to make sure we got rid of that price action. We wanted to get below that area of interest right here, so that way we can continue with the structure that we were following through from earlier. And look at how price action did literally just what we were talking about. We got the rejections, we got minor reactions off of that area, but we cleared those lows. And look at that move. It was a mirror basically of this move right here. This is 1, 2, 3 minutes. In 3 minutes after we cleared those lows, we pushed more than 80 pips, and price action right now is like more than 100 pips, right? We're starting to push lower, as you can see right there. So again, all information from the lower time frames, following it step by step, level by level, without getting greedy, without getting cocky, without claiming magical strategies here. Just price action and fundamentals.